The china plates felt cold in my hands as I arranged them around my parents' dining table. Grandmother's wedding china. The good stuff that only came out for Christmas dinner when we had company. 24 place settings this year. Extended family, my parents' closest friends, and several colleagues from my father's architectural firm. I'd been setting tables at family gatherings since I was 12. Old habits die hard. Sarah, honey, make sure the Richardsons get seats near us, my mother called from the kitchen where she was basting the turkey for the third time. Arthur just made partner at his firm. We want to hear all about it. Sure, Mom. And put yourself near the kitchen door. You'll need to jump up for refills and such. Of course. My brother Derek breezed past, cologne announcing his arrival before his voice did. Still playing servant, I see? Some things never change. He adjusted his Rolex, a gift from his investment banking bonus, and headed toward the living room where my father was holding court. I placed the last fork and stepped back to survey my work. Perfect as always. 24 settings, crystal wine glasses catching the light from the chandelier, evergreen centerpieces with gold ribbon. My mother had outdone herself this year and I'd been her assistant for all of it. Shopping, decorating, cooking, cleaning. Just like always. There's my Sarah. My father's voice boomed as I entered the living room with a tray of appetizers. Working hard as usual. She's always been such a help around the house. His colleague, Frank Morrison, accepted a stuffed mushroom. I thought she lived in the city now? Still comes back to help with dinner parties. Family is family, my father said with a magnanimous wave. Sarah knows we can always count on her. Not like these young people today who are too busy for their parents. What does Sarah do again? Frank's wife asked. I remember you said something about an office job? Office assistant, my mother said, appearing with another tray. At some consulting firm downtown. Administrative work, scheduling, that sort of thing. Steady job, pays the bills. She smiled at me with what she probably thought was encouragement. Not everyone can be a high flyer like Derek. Derek, who just walked in, grinned. Hey, someone's got to keep the wheels of commerce turning, right? No shame in support staff. Exactly. My father clapped me on the shoulder. The backbone of any organization. Where would the executives be without their assistants? I smiled politely and retreated to the kitchen. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably my assistant Marcus with updates on the Tokyo negotiations. I told him not to bother me unless it was urgent, but the Yamamoto deal was entering final stages. Through the doorway I could hear more guests arriving. Aunt Linda and Uncle John with their twins. The Richardsons, Arthur in his new partner-grade suit, his wife glowing with reflected success. The Chens, the Patels, old family friends who'd watched me grow up. Sarah's here. Aunt Linda spotted me and pulled me into a hug that smelled like expensive perfume. Look at you. Still so sweet helping your mother. Not too busy with your little job. Never too busy for family, I said automatically. That's our Sarah, my father said proudly. Always puts family first. Not climbing some corporate ladder, stepping on people to get ahead. Just honest work for honest pay. Uncle John squeezed my shoulder. Nothing wrong with that. The world needs office workers. Can't all be chiefs, right? Right, I agreed, excusing myself to check on the turkey. My mother followed me into the kitchen, her face slightly flushed from the attention and the wine she'd already started on. Darling, I know you probably feel overshadowed by Derek sometimes, but you shouldn't. There's dignity in what you do. You're reliable, consistent. Those are good qualities. Thanks, Mom. And who knows? Maybe you'll work your way up to office manager someday. Or executive assistant. Those positions can be quite respectable. He patted my cheek. You just keep showing up, keep doing good work. That's what matters. I nodded and began preparing the serving platters. Dinner was announced at 7 sharp. Everyone found their seats, the Richardsons near my parents as requested. Uncle John at the far end with Aunt Linda. Derek positioned strategically between two of Dad's wealthiest clients, ready to network. And me right next to the kitchen door, perfectly placed to jump up when anyone needed anything. Before we eat, my father said, standing with his wine glass raised, I want to say how grateful I am for family, for friends, for another successful year. My firm completed 3 major projects. Derek here just received his year-end bonus. He paused for congratulatory murmurs. And even Sarah has maintained steady employment. In these uncertain times we count our blessings, large and small. To family, everyone echoed. The meal progressed through courses. I stood 17 times, refilling wine glasses, bringing out fresh bread, clearing plates, fetching forgotten serving utensils. My mother kept catching my eye and nodding approvingly. This was my role. This was what I was good at. Sarah's always been such a helper, Mrs. Richardson said during the main course. I remember her organizing bake sales in middle school. Very administrative. She has a knack for details, my mother agreed. Perfect for her line of work. Derek, 3 glasses of wine deep, decided to be generous. Hey, being an assistant isn't easy. My boss's basically runs her life. Important work. He raised his glass to me. To the unsung heroes of the corporate world. Polite applause. Sympathetic smiles. Everyone was being so kind to the family's underachiever. I smiled and sipped my water. I actually heard about a promotion program at one of the big firms, Arthur Richardson said, trying to be helpful. They're taking administrative staff and training them for analyst positions. Maybe something like that could help you move up, Sarah? That's thoughtful, I said. I'll keep it in mind. She's probably comfortable where she is, my father interjected. Not everyone wants the stress of management. Right, honey? You've never been particularly ambitious. I have my goals, Dad. Of course. Realistic goals. That's wise. He turned back to Arthur. Now, about that development project you mentioned. The conversation flowed around me. Corporate victories, investment returns, vacation homes, private school decisions. Derek held forth on cryptocurrency. Arthur explained his path to partnership. Even the Patel's son, just 25, was launching his own startup. And I sat by the kitchen door ready to fetch dessert. Coffee or tea? I asked as I began clearing dinner plates. Uncle John looked up from his phone, which he'd been checking intermittently. Actually, Sarah, before dessert, I need to ask you something. Sure, Uncle John. He held up his phone, screen facing away from me. I got a notification alert. The Wall Street Journal's evening edition just posted online. They do this thing where major stories go up before the print version hits doorsteps. He looked confused. There's a woman named Sarah Chin on the front page. Same name as you. My mother laughed. There must be thousands of Sarah Chens. It's a common name. The photo, though. Uncle John turned his phone around. It was me. Professional headshot, the one taken for the Forbes interview 3 months ago. I was wearing the navy suit from Savile Row, the one that cost more than my parents' dining table. The headline read, "The Quiet Revolutionary, How Sarah Chin Built a $12 billion Green Energy Empire While the Industry Wasn't Looking." The room went silent. Uncle John's voice had an edge now. This is you. Why are you on the front page of the Wall Street Journal? Let me see that, my father demanded, reaching for the phone. Other guests were pulling out their phones now, typing, searching. The soft glow of screens lit confused faces around the table. Oh my God, Mrs. Chin whispered. It is her. Sarah Chin, CEO of SolarNova. It says she's one of the world's leading renewable energy executives. That can't be right, my mother said, but her voice wavered. Sarah works as an office assistant. She schedules meetings and files paperwork. Derek was reading from his own phone, his face pale. Founded SolarNova 6 years ago. Pioneered breakthrough photovoltaic technology. Secured $3.2 billion in funding. Partnerships with 17 countries. Company went public last year at a valuation of $12 billion, with Chin retaining 58% ownership. He looked up at me, his Rolex suddenly seeming very small. This says you're worth almost $7 billion. $7 billion? My father's voice cracked. Arthur Richardson had found the article too. He was reading aloud, his partner-level composure cracking. Ms. Chin has revolutionized solar panel efficiency, making renewable energy economically viable in developing markets. Her company employs over 8,000 people across 4 continents. Despite her enormous success, she maintains a notoriously low profile, rarely granting interviews and refusing most public appearances. There's more, his wife added, scrolling. It says she's one of the largest philanthropic donors to climate change research. Anonymous donations totaling over $400 million in the last 3 years alone. $400 million? Aunt Linda's voice was faint. I set down the stack of plates I'd been holding. Mrs. Patel was reading another article now. Time magazine named her one of the 100 most influential people in technology. Forbes ranked her 41st on their list of most powerful women in business. The MIT Technology Review called her innovations the most significant advancement in solar energy in 2 decades. Sarah. My mother's hands were shaking. This is some kind of mistake, right? Some other Sarah Chin who looks like you. The article mentions she grew up in San Francisco. Uncle John read. Father's an architect. Brother works in investment banking. He looked at me. Those details match. Derek was frantically scrolling. Jesus Christ. There's a photo from the G7 summit. She's standing between the German Chancellor and the Japanese Prime Minister. He zoomed in. Sarah, that's you. That's definitely you. Perhaps, I said calmly, we should have dessert? Dessert? My father exploded. You're telling me you're on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, you're worth $7 billion and you want to talk about dessert? The pie will get cold. The pie, he looked like he might have a stroke. Sarah. Explain. Now. I folded the napkin I'd been holding. You all assumed I worked as an office assistant. I never actually said that. You asked if I worked in an office and I said yes. I do work in an office. It happens to be the CEO's office because I'm the CEO. But you said you did administrative work. I do. Quite a lot of it, actually. Running a company involves tremendous amounts of administration. Scheduling, coordinating, organizing. It's just on a slightly larger scale than you imagined. My mother made a sound like a balloon deflating. 6 years. You've been running this company for 6 years and you never told us. I tried to, actually. Remember Thanksgiving 4 years ago? I said I'd started a renewable energy company. Dad said that sounded cute, and asked if I was selling solar panels door to door. You all laughed. I decided not to elaborate. But Derek was still staring at his phone like it had personally betrayed him. The company valuation. The stock price. This says you're one of the richest self-made women under 40 in America. Self-made, Arthur repeated numbly. She didn't inherit anything. She built this from nothing. A little office job, Mrs. Richardson quoted back my mother's earlier words. The irony hung in the air like smoke. Uncle John had found another article. There's an interview here from a year ago. You talked about how success made people treat you differently, so you learned to keep quiet about your achievements. He looked at me with new understanding. You were talking about us. Partially, I acknowledged. Why? My father's voice cracked. Why would you hide this from your own family? I didn't hide it, Dad. I just stopped correcting your assumptions. Every time I came home, you introduced me as your daughter, who works in an office downtown. I found it interesting that you never asked what office, what position, what company. You just decided I was an assistant and never questioned it. We didn't mean. You meant every word, I said gently. You pitted me. All of you. Poor Sarah, not ambitious like Derek. Poor Sarah, just an office drone. Poor Sarah, at least she has a job. I looked around the table. It never occurred to any of you that I might be successful. You saw what you wanted to see. Aunt Linda's face was flushed. But you acted like. You set the table. You served food. You helped my mother host a dinner party? Yes. I do that because I love her, not because I'm incapable of hiring caterers. My penthouse in the city is 6,000 square feet. I have a private chef. I just chose to spend Christmas helping my family the way I always have. Penthouse, my mother whispered. You told me you had a small apartment. I said I had a place in the city with a nice view. You assumed small apartment. It's actually the entire top floor of the Millennium Tower. Derek looked like he might be sick. The Millennium Tower? Those penthouses start at $15 million. Mine was $24 million. I got a good deal because I knew the developer. We're partnering on a sustainable housing project in Oakland. $24 million. My father sat down heavily. And you're here in your mother's kitchen setting tables. Family is family, I quoted his words back to him. Isn't that what you said? Arthur Richardson stood abruptly. Sarah, Miss Chin, I apologize, but I have to ask. My firm handles corporate law. We've been trying to schedule a consultation with Solar Nova for months. Your general counsel keeps putting us off. We use Fitzgerald and Associates for most corporate matters, I said. They've represented us since founding. But if there's any way we could discuss. Arthur. His wife grabbed his arm. She's at Christmas dinner. Christmas dinner where her family just spent 2 hours treating her like the help, he shot back. I think normal social protocols are somewhat out the window. More phones were buzzing now. Other guests were receiving notifications, finding articles, making connections. The Patel's son was reading about my MIT doctoral thesis on photovoltaic efficiency. Mrs. Chin had found a photo of me at a renewable energy conference, keynoting for an audience of 3,000. You have a PhD? My mother asked weakly. From MIT? 2 actually. Materials science and electrical engineering. I did them concurrently. When? How? Nights and weekends, mostly while building the company. Took 7 years instead of the usual 4 or 5, but I finished. Derek had found my company's investor page. Sequoia Capital. Andreessen Horowitz. The Sovereign Wealth Fund of Norway. These aren't just investors. These are the top venture capital firms in the world. They were very helpful in our Series B funding round. Your Series B was $800 million. He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Do you understand how insane that is? Most companies never raise that much in total across all funding rounds. Our technology was quite promising. The investors saw potential. Potential, Frank Morrison repeated. He'd been quiet until now, but his face had gone carefully blank. Sarah, I don't know if you remember, but 3 years ago I tried to hire you. I offered you an analyst position at my consulting firm. I remember. You said it would be a great opportunity for someone with my limited experience. I'm never going to live that down, am I? Probably not. The room had descended into chaos. People were crowding around phones, reading articles aloud, discovering new details. My salary, I'd taken only $200,000 annually, reinvesting everything else. My board of directors, 2 Nobel laureates and the former Secretary of Energy. My company's contracts, governments, corporations, NGOs spanning 6 continents. There's a whole section about her philanthropy, Mrs. Patel said. She established the Chin Foundation for Clean Energy. It provides scholarships to students from low-income families studying renewable technology. How much? Etlinda asked. She's donated $500 million to the foundation. $500 million to help other people's children get educations. My mother started crying. Not delicate tears, but huge, gasping sobs. We made you set tables. We introduced you as an office assistant. We pitied you. You did, I agreed. But I didn't need your pity. I never did. Why didn't you tell us? Derek's voice was almost pleading. Why let us think? Think what? That you were better than me? More successful? More accomplished? Kept my voice even. I wanted to see how you'd treat someone you thought was beneath you. Turns out not very well. That's not fair, my father protested. Isn't it? Dad, you toasted to your professional success and Derek's bonus, and then added, even Sarah has maintained steady employment, like I was a charity case. You literally divided the family into blessings large and small, with me firmly in the small category. He had no response. Uncle John was still reading, shaking his head. The article says you're intensely private. You've turned down invitations to speak at Davos, the UN Climate Summit, and TED. You refused a profile in Vanity Fair. Why release this Wall Street Journal piece now? I didn't release it. They've been investigating for 6 months. I couldn't stop them without looking suspicious, so I cooperated minimally. I knew it would come out eventually. I glanced around the table. I just didn't expect it to drop on Christmas. This is going to be everywhere, Mrs. Richardson said, scrolling through her social media feeds. It's already trending. People are calling you the most successful person no one's ever heard of. Great, I said dryly. Arthur's phone rang. He glanced at it and his eyes widened. It's my senior partner. He's asking if I'm really at dinner with Sarah Chin. How does he already know? Someone probably posted about it, his wife said, showing her own phone. Look, people are sharing the Wall Street Journal article with comments like, imagine being her family and not knowing. It's viral. Derek groaned. We're going to be a meme, aren't we? The family too dumb to recognize a billionaire at their own dinner table. Probably, I confirmed. My mother wiped her eyes. Sarah, honey, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to fix this. There's nothing to fix, Mom. You all showed me exactly who you are. People who judge success by appearance, who make assumptions about worth, who never thought to ask deeper questions. I learned something valuable about my family. Painful but valuable. But we love you. Do you? Or did you love having someone you could feel superior to? I asked the same question I'd been asking myself for 6 years. Be honest, Mom. When you introduced me as just an office assistant, did you feel embarrassed? Or did you kind of like being Derek's mother more than being mine? Her face crumpled, and that was answer enough. The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. I glanced at my watch. Right on time. That'll be Marcus, my assistant. He's bringing some documents I need to review for tomorrow's meeting. On Christmas? My father asked. $12 billion companies don't take holidays, Dad. I walked to the door, grateful for the escape. Marcus stood on the porch, immaculate as always in a suit that probably cost more than Derek's Rolex. He handed me a sleek leather portfolio. The Yamamoto contracts, Ms. Chin. They're ready for your signature. Also, your publicist called. She's fielding 17 interview requests following the journal piece. Tell her no to all of them. Even 60 minutes? Especially 60 minutes. He smiled slightly. Very good. Will you need the car tonight? No, I'm staying until at least dessert. It would be rude to leave early. Of course. He nodded and departed, and I returned to the dining room where 24 people were still staring at their phones like they might find a different reality if they looked hard enough. Frank Morrison stood as I entered. Sarah, I owe you an apology. I didn't just offer you that analyst position. I told you it would be good to have realistic career goals. I said you should be grateful for opportunities at your skill level. I remember that too. I'm an idiot. You made assumptions based on incomplete information. Most people do. Generous way to put it. Arthur approached next. My firm would be honored to discuss representation. I know you have current counsel, but if you're ever looking for additional support. I'll keep that in mind, I said, knowing I wouldn't. Derek was last, moving slowly, his earlier confidence completely evaporated. Sarah, I've been such an asshole to you. All those comments about office work and support staff, and you believed I was less than you, so you treated me that way. At least you're consistent. I want to make this right. Do you? Or do you want access to my network, my connections, my success? I tilted my head. Be honest, Derek. Right now, are you more sorry you hurt me or sorry you missed out on having a billionaire sister? He opened his mouth. Closed it. No words came. That's what I thought. My mother appeared with the pie. Apple, my favorite, though she'd probably forgotten that was why she made it. Sarah, please. Tell us how to fix this. How to make things right. I don't know if you can, Mom. You spent years making me feel invisible, worthless, less than. You can't undo that with an apology just because you found out I'm wealthy. But you're our daughter. Then you should have valued me when you thought I was an office assistant. That version of me deserved respect too. I looked around the room at the faces I'd known my whole life. Family, friends, colleagues. All of them seeing me differently now, treating me differently now. The only thing that changed is your perception. I'm the same person I was an hour ago. No, Uncle John said quietly. You're not. An hour ago we thought we knew you. Now we realize we never knew you at all. That, at least, was honest. My phone buzzed. A text from my COO about supply chain issues in our Taiwan facility. A message from our chief technology officer about a breakthrough in our latest efficiency tests. An email from the German government about expanding our partnership. The world kept turning. The company kept running. And I had work to do. I should go, I said, pulling out my phone to call Marcus back. Please don't, my father said. Stay. Have dessert. Let us try to understand. Understand what, Dad? That your daughter is successful? You should have assumed that already. You should have believed in me even when you thought I was an office assistant. You're right. You're absolutely right. But please, give us a chance to do better. I looked at the pie on the table, at the carefully arranged plates, at the family gathered around. 24 people who'd spent the evening treating me like hired help, now desperate to repair what they'd broken. Okay, I said finally. I'll stay for dessert. But after that I'm going home. And when I come back for the next gathering, I expect to be treated with the same respect you'd show me if I actually was an office assistant. Because that person deserved respect too. Of course, my mother said quickly. Anything. We'll do better, Derek promised. We will, my father echoed. I didn't believe them. Not really. But I sat back down at my place by the kitchen door and accepted a slice of pie. As my mother served dessert, her hands still trembling, Arthur's phone rang again. He looked at the screen and blanched. It's the Wall Street Journal. They want a comment about having Christmas dinner with you. How did they even get this number? They're journalists, I said. It's their job. What should I tell them? Tell them I'm having pie with my family. No further comment. He stepped away to handle the call and I took a bite of apple pie. It was perfect. Cinnamon and nutmeg flaky crust, just the right amount of sweetness. Some things at least hadn't changed. Uncle John sat down beside me, his expression thoughtful. You know what the article said? It said you're known for helping your competitors. Sharing research, collaborating on projects, lifting the entire renewable energy sector instead of just your company. Why? Because climate change doesn't care about market share, I said simply. The goal isn't to win. It's to save the planet. If my competitors succeed, we all succeed. That's remarkably mature. It's practical. But thank you. He shook his head slowly. Your parents raised an extraordinary person. They just didn't notice. They noticed Derek, I pointed out. Derek's successful. You're transformational. There's a difference. Around the table, conversations were starting again, but different now. Quieter. More careful. People kept glancing at me like I might disappear or transform into someone else. In a way, I had transformed. Just not in the way they thought. I'd always been this person, driven, accomplished, capable of building something meaningful. They just never bothered to see it. By 9 p.m., guests were leaving. Each departure included awkward apologies, requests for future meetings and promises to stay in touch. Mrs. Richardson hugged me and whispered, I always knew you were special. She hadn't, but I let her believe it. Finally, only family remained. My parents, Derek, Aunt Linda and Uncle John. We stood in the living room, the remnants of dinner scattered around us, the wreckage of their assumptions impossible to ignore. What happens now? My mother asked. Nothing changes, I said. I go back to work. You go back to your lives. We have family dinners. I'll still help you host sometimes if you'd like. But everything's changed, Derek protested. Only because you let it. I was always this person. You just couldn't see it. I picked up my coat. The question isn't what happens now. It's what you'll do differently when you can't see someone's resume or bank account. How will you treat the next person you assume is ordinary? No one had an answer. Marcus pulled up outside, the car's headlights cutting through the winter darkness. I hugged my mother, she clung to me like I might vanish and nodded to the rest. Merry Christmas, I said. Merry Christmas, Sarah, Uncle John replied. And congratulations. On everything. You deserved better from us. Yes, I agreed. I did. As Marcus drove me back to the city, back to my penthouse with its floor-to-ceiling windows and view of the bay, I checked my phone. 43 messages. 12 missed calls. The Wall Street Journal article had been shared over 50,000 times. But the message that made me smile was from Dr. Yamamoto. Contract signed. Looking forward to partnership. Your secret is out, still looking forward to working with you. Some people at least had valued me before they knew my net worth. The city lights spread before us like a circuit board, each light a connection, a possibility, a piece of the future I was building. My family would call tomorrow. They'd apologize again, promise to do better, maybe even mean it. We'd rebuild something, though it would never be quite what it was. But that was okay. Because I'd learned something they'd never intended to teach me. I didn't need their validation to be successful. I didn't need their recognition to matter. I didn't need their respect to respect myself. I'd built an empire while they thought I was filing paperwork. And that empire would change the world, one solar panel at a time, whether my family ever truly understood it or not. The office assistant had always been the CEO. They'd just been looking at the wrong org chart.